Imagine for a second that you are not the driver of your own life. You are sitting in the passenger seat, gripping a plastic steering wheel, mimicking the turns, convinced that you are choosing the destination. But the car? The car is being driven by a ghost. A ghost made of memories, traumas, and sentences spoken to you 20 years ago. This isn't a horror movie plot. This is the neurological and spiritual reality of the human condition. Most of us are living in a loop, a script written before we could even hold a pen. But what if you could find the break? What if you could swap seats? Today, we are not just talking about positive thinking or manifestation in the fluffy internet sense. We are tearing apart the mechanics of reality itself to find the divine connection between the firing of your neurons and the fabric of your world. We need to start with the hard truth. The reason you feel stuck, the reason you wake up with that same heavy feeling in your chest, the reason the same arguments play out with different partners, the reason your bank account seems to have a glass ceiling is because you are fighting a math problem you don't understand. Neuroscientists and psychologists have estimated that up to 95% of your daily behavior is automatic. It is subconscious. You don't think about how to brush your teeth, how to drive to work, or how to react when someone criticizes you. You just execute the program. You are running on an operating system that was installed when you were 7 years old. Think about that. The software running your adult life, your career, your relationships, your self-worth was written by a toddler observing a world they didn't understand. If you grew up in a house where money was a source of tension, where you heard the hushed, angry whispers of your parents arguing over bills in the next room, your 5-year-old brain downloaded a source code. Money equals pain. Money equals scarcity. Money equals danger. You didn't choose that belief. It was burned into your hard drive. And now, 20, 30 years later, you wonder why you self-sabotage every time you get a raise. You wonder why the money slips through your fingers. It's not bad luck. It is a biological feedback loop. Your subconscious mind is a heat-seeking missile, and its target is to prove your internal beliefs right. If you believe the world is scarce, your reticular activating system, the filter in your brain, will literally blind you to opportunities and highlight every unpaid bill. You are trapped in a prison built by your own unexamined history. But here is where the story shifts. Here is where the victim becomes the architect. Ancient spiritual traditions, from Hermeticism to Vedantic philosophy, have whispered a secret for thousands of years that modern science is only just beginning to map. They called it the law of attraction or the principle of mentalism. The axiom is simple. As within, so without. The universe is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Think of your mind as a transmission tower. Every thought you think is an electrical signal. Every emotion you feel is a magnetic wave. When you combine a clear thought with a powerful emotion, you are broadcasting an electromagnetic signature into the quantum field. Now, I know how that sounds. It sounds like magic. But let's look at the mechanics. If you are broadcasting a signal of I am not enough, you are vibrating at the frequency of lack. You are tuning your receiver to the station of disappointment. You can work 18 hours a day. You can hustle, you can grind, but if your internal signal is set to failure, you will find a way to fail. The universe, in its infinite neutrality, simply says, yes. You say, life is hard. The universe says, yes, it is. You say, I am abundant. The universe says, yes, you are. It is a mirror, reflecting your own consciousness back at you in physical form. So, how do we break the mirror? How do we rewrite the code? We have to stop living on autopilot and start operating the machine manually. This requires a toolkit, a set of psychological and spiritual crowbars to pry open the doors of the subconscious. The first tool is what the mystics call the witness. You have to develop the ability to stand on the riverbank of your mind and watch the water flow without jumping in. Try it. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. Watch your thoughts. Who is the one watching? That observer, that silent, spacious presence is the real you. That is the point of power. When a negative thought floats by, "I'll never make it," the unconscious person says, "That's true," and spirals into depression. The conscious creator stands on the bank, sees the debris floating by, and says, "That is an interesting thought, but it is not me." This creates a gap, and in that gap, you have the power to choose a different thought. Once you have created that space, you must begin the work of active reprogramming. This is where we use the dual engines of affirmation and visualization. But be careful, most people do this wrong. They stand in front of a mirror and robotically chant, "I am rich, I am rich," while their stomach is knotted with the fear of poverty. That is useless. In fact, it's worse than useless, because it highlights the conflict. The secret ingredient, the fuel that makes the engine run, is emotion. You have to trick your brain. The brain does not know the difference between a real event and a vividly imagined one. When you close your eyes and visualize your desired reality, not just seeing it, but touching it, smelling it, feeling the overwhelming gratitude of it having already happened, you are priming your neural pathways. You are literally engaging in neuroplasticity, rewiring the synaptic connections in your brain to look like the brain of a person who already has that life. You are rehearsing the future. If you do this with enough intensity, your body begins to produce the chemical signature of that future reality in the present moment. You stop waiting for the world to change so you can feel good. You feel good now, and the world changes to match you. And then comes the final, crucial step that the secret often leaves out. You must take inspired action. You cannot sit on your couch, visualize a Ferrari, and wait for it to crash through your living room wall. We live in a physical universe that requires physical motion, but this action feels different. It doesn't feel like grinding. It feels like flow. When you align your internal frequency with your desire, you start to see doors opening. You get a hunch to call an old friend. You turn left instead of right and bump into a future business partner. You click on a random video, maybe this one, that gives you the exact answer you needed. These are not accidents. These are the bridge of incidents unfolding before you. Your job is to walk across the bridge. Now, a word of caution. We must walk the razor's edge between spiritual wisdom and scientific honesty. You will hear people claim that quantum physics proves you can manifest a parking spot. They will talk about the observer effect, or the 2022 Nobel Prize awarded to Aspect, Clauser, and Zeilinger for proving that the universe is not locally real. These are profound, earth-shattering scientific discoveries that show the universe is far stranger and more interconnected than we ever dared to dream. But they are not a permission slip for magical thinking. We don't need to misuse quantum mechanics to validate the power of the mind. The placebo effect alone, the fact that a sugar pill can heal the body simply because you believe it will, is proof enough that your beliefs dictate your biology. The science of epigenetics showing that your environment and perception can alter the expression of your genes is proof enough. You are a biological alchemist. You don't need quantum magic. You have biological machinery that is just as miraculous. So here is the challenge. The garden of your mind has been neglected. Weeds of fear, doubt, and limitation have been allowed to grow wild since you were a child. It is time to put on the gloves. It is time to become the gardener. For the next 7 days, I want you to treat your mind like a fortress. Pay attention to every thought that tries to enter. If it is a thought of lack, stop it at the gate. Replace it. If it is a thought of fear, witness it and let it pass. This is the hardest work you will ever do. It is easier to dig a ditch than to police your own mind. But the reward is not just a better mood. The reward is a new life. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. The power that spins the planets is the same power that beats your heart, and it is waiting for your commands. Stop telling the universe what you don't want. Start telling it who you are. The script is yours to write. The pen is in your hand. What is the very first sentence of your new chapter going to be? Tell me in the comments below. Declare it right now in the public record. Let the reprogramming begin.